So the Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 15 tech spoilers are slowly starting to come out, so I thought I'd quickly go over them and just give my initial thoughts as well as try and order these events because as I'm sure many of you have seen, the spoilers on Twitter have been here, there and everywhere. But essentially the full spoilers where we get the panels and fan translations hasn't come out yet, but Rai, a well-known leaker, has sent us through a couple leaks about roughly what is going to happen during this chapter. So the chapter begins with a flashback about what exactly happened that caused Shinki to become a tree. And it looks like Gaara, Shinki and Yodo are fighting Matsuri and a bunch of claw grimes, and I would be completely lying if I knew who Yodo was, but I'm sure many of you can let me know in the comments down below, because when it comes to random ass Naruto side characters, I have really not got a clue. Anyways, apparently Shinki was turned into a tree by protecting Gaara, and a claw mark actually was the thing that turned him into the tree. So when the chapter actually gets released, it will be interesting to see what Shinki's design is after the time skip, as I feel as though if it resembles the claw grime that was created, it will mean that Shinki has changed significantly and probably the most out of anyone post time skip. But I guess we will have to wait and see what he actually looks like at this point. Anyways, after this whole flashback, we go back to the present where Shikamaru, Kankuro, and Sarada are all having a chat, likely about what happened, Gaara's situation, as well as what they are planning to do about going to save Shinki. And what is interesting here is the fact that we can see a toad is spying on this whole conversation. And apart from Kawaki, these toads have gone completely undetected, meaning that it's highly likely that the whole way Boruto knew to come to Konoha in the first place in chapter 1 was because of the toads dotted around the village, giving him the information. So not only does Kashin Koji have future sight, he basically has a Senragun with all these toads going undetected doing surveillance around different areas. And I presume that this is the importance of even showing the toads in the first place to show that Kashin Koji has eyes everywhere, and during the time skip he would have been able to gather insane amounts of intel about the current world situation. So essentially Kashin Koji is turned into the information broker from Gachiakusa. If you guys read that series you will know what I'm talking about. Anyways, apparently we then jump back to the Shinju area where they all chill and read books, it seems like, where apparently Ryu, the new Shinju, can use iron sand from his claw mark cloth, and this means that he somehow sees Code, who is spying on them, and he then pulls Code out of the cube into the Shinju dimension. Anyways, Code tells the Shinju, or most likely Jura, that he still wants to eat a chakra fruit and destroy the planet like Ishiki wanted. But this sparks Jura's curiosity, and he wonders what will happen if they eat Code since he has the white karma, which is classic Jura wanting to eat random shit to gain knowledge. Like, this guy is just like a toddler, just sticking everything he can in his mouth for no reason. But then Code then says to Jura for him to keep laughing now, obviously after Code got packed, which I will get into a second, but Code will be the last one to end up laughing. Now, I think that is actually pretty important despite all the jokes that are being made online about Code, and I have a gut feeling that this guy will end up being the main villain of the entire series. I made a video at the start of 2 Blue Vortex, which is over a year ago now, about how Code will become the final villain and why it makes sense for him to take so many L's for him to kind of divert expectations and take over in a sudden flash as the final villain. And I think we can see the seeds being planted for this to actually take place, which will be extremely interesting to see how all that plays out. But regardless of that, Code is still Code and decides he wants to grab another L just to fully fill out his portfolio, and it seems like he's actually stat padding the L's at this point with the amount he's been taking again and again and again. But apparently Code goes into white karma form and tries to attack Jura through his claw marks, but he gets his hand cut off by Jura using the BG laser eye bomb thing that seems to be Jura's favourite attack at this point. So not only was it Sasuke that took Code's eye, bro has now lost his hand too. The L's on Code's head are slowly piling up. Well, I shouldn't even say slowly, this guy's caught an insane amount of L's in record time, but regardless of all this, Code manages to escape alive via the claw marks, and we find out that Ryu's target is Gaara, which honestly doesn't come as much of a surprise to anyone at this point, and I think my grandma, who hasn't read a single manga in her life, could have predicted that Ryu's target would have been Gaara. Anyways, the chapter then apparently cuts to Boruto and Kawaki, who are talking above the Hokage statue, which we knew was obviously going to happen from the sneak peek we received the other day, but this is where the massive bombshell of the chapter is dropped, where Boruto tells Kawaki that Amado did something to Kawaki to restrict or hide Kawaki's true powers. Amado is actually spying on this conversation as well, and I presume this is done through Kawaki's eyes, and he says that he remembers the toad disappearing, and he then goes on to say he wonders how Boruto got all of this information, and that's when he remembers the toad itself and links it to Kashin Koji. So yeah, the cat is out of the bag here, and this revelation is literally insane. And I did an entire video literally a couple hours ago where I predicted that Amado was hiding Kawaki's true powers. So if you want to check that out, make sure you do that after this video is done. And you can see exactly what I predicted this would mean for the story. But essentially in that video, I discussed how I believe Kawaki has a Karma V3, another awakening that Amado is waiting for, because after that happens, Kawaki can bring back Amado's daughter. But I don't want to go too in depth into that theory, so if you are interested then you can check out that video and I'll leave a link at the end of this one. Anyways, it seems as though Amado is in fact still a sussy barker, like I and many others had presumed, and I think I was right about him not necessarily being the final villain, but almost like a Kabuto or an Orochimaru of the story. Always there, causing complications to one of the main cast. In their case, it was them causing problems to Sasuke, and in this case, it's Amado causing problems to Kawaki. And you're starting to see the many overlapping themes between Boruto and Naruto's story as we move on chapter by chapter. As Amado knows, this means that Kashin Koji is a danger, as Amado likely can turn Kashin Koji off, and he will seek to destroy Kashin Koji as he will ruin all of Amado's plans. Which ties into what I predicted a while back about why Kashin Koji unfortunately will die very soon due to how insanely overpowered 10 Directions actually is. And I think Amado realizing he is the perpetrator will spark the catalyst of events that will lead to Kashin Koji dying and Boruto being left to fend for himself with an uncertain future ahead. But that's not all we got from this chapter, as we find out that Boruto and Kawaki agree to work together in order to defeat the Shinju. And the narrator comment is, Boruto and Kawaki now team up, but how will Konoha aid the Sand Village against the Shinju? Or at least it's something along those lines. So this in of itself is insane, and Kawaki must now, knowing what Boruto said to him, trust Boruto at least enough to work together with him. Maybe we finally see Boruto mention Momoshiki, and he will reassure Kawaki that he is not a threat anymore, or Boruto told Kawaki that if he doesn't help Boruto, Kawaki will end up dying, and inadvertently so will Naruto, which forces Kawaki to have no other choice but join Boruto. But it does work perfectly in tying into that flash forward sequence, as it directly parallels Naruto and Sasuke, where they teamed up during the 4th Great Ninja War, and they end up battling once the threat of Kaguya or Madara was gone, and they have their whole clash of ideals, so we will probably end up seeing the same thing with Boruto and Kawaki, where they team up temporarily to deal with the main threat, but then in the end they still have to have their final battle in order to have that clash of ideologies. Anyways, that is where these initial text spoilers end, so if you did enjoy, please make sure to smash that like button, and I will go over the full spoilers when they come out in a bit more depth, which will probably be in say 3 to 4 hours, and I will likely release a full chapter review on the 20th, so make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss when that video drops. Also, make sure to comment your thoughts on this set of spoilers in the comments down below. But with that all said, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.